Hey everybody, we are live, and I'm delighted that my longtime friend, and I can say that because we've been acquainted that long, although I haven't had barbecue with him yet or anything like that. But our Alameda County Registrar and the county of Alameda's Chief Information Officer, Tim Dupuis. Tim, welcome to.
Thank you, Zenny.
Thank you for being here. And Tim had an interesting go of it with the elections this year. There's been a lot of exciting outcomes and confusion on top of that. So we're going to get started right away. I promised Tim this is his platform to tell us what's going on, how to understand it, how to think about it. This is quite literally sort of almost a kind of a TED talk and a teach-in, if you will, combined with everything else. All right. So, and we're joined by former Oakland Mayoral candidate Seneca Scott, who's going to type a few questions. Be nice, Seneca, or I will block you. So, just kidding.
All right.
Just kidding. Hey, Seneca, you could do me a favor, however, and tweet this out to the others that we are on, because I made a time scheduling error. I put 11:30 rather than 10:30. That's my fault. Okay. So I'm taking the L for that one, as I've taken the L for a lot of things lately. All right. So, Tim, let's start off with, first of all, as you and I discussed, a conversation Allyssa Victory and I had regarding ranked choice voting and the confusion that was out there with respect to the choices. And this is what she told me when we were talking in our interview. As I go and pull this up right here, right there. I want to know, first of all, what you think of the news that ranked choice voting is not 3 this year, but 5, 5 choices. What do you think about that?
I've been through a lot of shocking things already in this election with democracy and getting on the ballot, so I can't say I'm really surprised, but it's still very concerning of the transparency of what people can expect, what candidates can expect, how we can be messaging and even strategizing our own campaigns in a ranked choice election, knowing that now people are having instructions in a ballot that says put 5 folks in order instead of 3. And I think our public was already having some challenges with understanding the 3 and how to use that ballot already. And so not having enough time now that ballots are coming out and we're finding this out. So it's concerning to say the least. And again, it's another challenge that I'm experiencing and other candidates are on this campaign trail.
Hey, I'm curious to know, as having said that, I find it extremely concerning that the city clerk's office didn't make this a huge public education effort. Am I missing something?
I think it's definitely their obligation to advise us that this is, especially since this is a change, right? That this isn't something we would all be expecting or hasn't been the norm. There should be some really clear, like you said, communication effort, along with the county registrar's office, who is the one who prints the ballot, who prepared them, who drafted them, right? Who knew a long time ago what it was going to look like, that it was going to have 5 and instruction to choose 5 instead of 3. And so having that messaging, even at all of their voter registration events, using the power of our different civic engagement organizations to, again, make sure we're including this as part of the voter outreach, engagement, and registration that's been happening, right, for the past year leading up to this. And now ballots are already being mailed. So look out in the mail for your ballots. I'm number 7, but it's, again, kind of another thing that we just have to shift and be flexible with. I'll stop it right there. Tim, what are your thoughts about, and I think we now see, what the candidates were going through. What are your thoughts about what you just heard?
So ranked choice voting has been being used with Oakland for over a decade, as we've talked about. But it's a question of when we change, first of all, from 3 choices to 5 choices. The first election that we went to 5 choices was in November of 2020. So this is the second time that Oakland has had 5 choices. In terms of the outreach, we have an outreach team with the Registrar of Voters that goes to over 200 community events every year to primarily educate voters, also to do registration drives and so on. And ranked choice voting is part of that effort. In the Oakland area, especially the other ranked choice voting communities. We also meet with the city clerks each year on a regular basis, but especially the ranked choice voting cities. And we have a talk with them about, is there anything in addition to our regular outreach and education effort that they would like us to do for further education. And it's a negotiation or discussion with the city clerks to see if they believe that the community needs anything more from the registrar's office for outreach. So we've done everything that we were asked to in terms of that outreach. And I see that there's some concern about our website saying 3 choices. Zenny, you and I talked about it. The main site is showing 5 choices, but I understand that there might be some other areas that you're finding that we still have some legacy 3 choices. So if you could send them over to us, we'll make sure that gets changed. But our main site, as I'm seeing it, is saying 5 choices.
Well, that's the thing. When this originally came about, and I have an interview with Lauren as well, among other candidates, they all said 3. And as we talked about offline, digital media is a wonderful thing. You fix something like that, right?
That's right.
You know, so to look at the sites now as they are doesn't really help us, and that's why I like to have this video history of when I talk to people way back when, right? You know, because then you capture the confusion. You know what was going on, right? And how, first of all, something that I need help with, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Dave McDonald, your esteemed predecessor.
Yes.
And I interviewed, feels like 12 years ago, which I have a video for, but I haven't pulled it up for this. I figured I rely on what memory I have left is 60. But anyway, but at any rate, he said to me that it's enough paperwork with 1 choice, but when you add 3, when you have 2 more, it's more paperwork. Well, I would think it would be more with 5, but talk me down from the ledge on that and how it changed what you have to do, and tell people what you have to do, please.
Right.
Add 2 more to 3.
Yeah. So when you take a look at, and I know you're tech savvy, so I'll talk about it from a technical standpoint. The number of choices, the number of choices for the computer is really not too difficult. The original algorithm that was we brought in under Dave McDonald's leadership, that was approved by the Secretary of State, was capable of only going up to three choices back then when we implemented it. And yeah, it's over a decade ago, right? In 2018, that equipment was essentially decertified. Sometime around that time it was decertified, and we had to bring in a new system. The new system, because of new capabilities that come in, higher computing levels, they were able to go into more choices than 3. And so we met with all of the city clerks that manage their elections. I guess I want to make that relationship clear too. The election official for the Oakland election is the city clerk, and we run the election on behalf of the city clerk. So we're essentially, they're our client, if you want to take a look at it that way. And so we meet with them and we run the election the way that they want to. And we have 4 cities now that are ranked choice voting. It's Oakland, Berkeley, San Leandro, and Albany. So the system was capable of many more choices, and when we brought it in, we sat down with all the city clerks that were impacted, and we showed them different layouts of the ballot, because now it's not an issue of what the computer's capable of doing. It's an issue of the real estate on a ballot, and what's going to be able to fit, what's practical given font sizes that everybody can read, understanding that we have to have multiple languages. So we look at layouts and ask the city clerks, do you want to stay with 3? Do you want to take advantage of the additional capability? Do you want to add some? And unanimously, the city clerks agreed to move it up to 5 choices. So that's how it came about. But in terms of the paper that you're talking about, I think it might be what you're driving at, is it's not really an issue of handling it in the computer system. It's a matter of how do you present it on a physical paper ballot in a way that can be read, that can be understood, can be explained easily. And so with the layouts, the city clerks landed on the 5 choices, and unanimously that's what we went with, because that's what they asked us to do.
And now Seneca says, I think this reflects some of the sentiment out there. He says, I don't agree education was done. He says, compare the budget to the rollout in 2010, night and day. I don't, so just, showing you, that's just a taste of the kind of reaction there's been to all of this, to date.
Right, and again, I want to address that, we do spend quite a bit of money on just regular voter education and outreach, and that's regardless of whether it's ranked choice voting. And as I said, that's in those cities that ranked choice voting is a piece of it. We talk about it, and we go out to any event that we're asked to go out to and speak to. When it was originally rolled out, the city clerks asked us to go above and beyond that regular education program. And they, again, being that they are a customer of us, we do what they think their community needs. So they tell us, is what we normally do enough, or do we need to do something more? And the amount of education that we've put out there has been the education level that we were asked to through the city clerks. I mean, that again, they are our customer. They're the ones that know their community. They're the ones that drive how much they need for their cities.
Now, you going forward, has there been any introspection, or where are we right now with the vote? Because I don't want to get ahead of myself, but has the vote been officially certified now? Because I haven't gotten an email saying that it has or has not.
It has been certified on December 8th. It was certified, and I chose to certify on December 8th because that's the last possible day we could certify. It wasn't because we couldn't have certified earlier. It's because we wanted to give every voter who had issues with their signature on their vote-by-mail ballots an opportunity to remedy. We call it curing the signature. We wanted to give them an opportunity, every voter an opportunity to come in and have a way to cure their votes so that their vote would count. So I gave them as much time as I possibly could, which was to certify on the very last day, which was December 8th.
Is there anything that you would like to do, if you had a do-over, that you would like to do differently?
I think the election, given everything that was presented to us to work through on this election, the team did a fantastic job. I mean, there were some very high profile elections on this ballot,
Yeah.
and to say the least. I mean, for a midterm ballot, this was locally a very significant election. And the Registrar of Voters team here in Alameda County did a spectacular job dealing with everything that we had. There's always lessons that can be learned when you're putting on an event of this magnitude. I mean, we are talking about nearly 1 million voters. We talk about ballot types, and since we're doing a TED Talk here, a ballot type is all the different unique ballots. So a ballot in Livermore is going to look different than a ballot in Oakland because there's going to be different races on it. Imagine that we had probably over 200 different ballot types in this election, and we were supporting 14 different translations of that ballot. And the extraordinary number of vote by mail ballots that arrive on election night. I mean, it's quite a tremendous effort from start to finish. But what I'm really driving at is when you put something together at this magnitude, impacting as many people as it is, there's always lessons to be learned. We always, have something of a post-mortem afterwards, where we evaluate any of the tickets, the trouble tickets that came in, any of the issues that we're talking about right now. Certainly this issue of voter education around ranked choice, we'll be bringing that back to our city clerks and having a deep discussion about, okay, is there anything different that we should be doing going forward? So I couldn't say that there would be an event this size ever that we would put on where there wouldn't be some certain amount of measure of things that we are going to learn from and try to do better.